Maybe in the corner, right? Okay. In the corner, you don't speak up. Yeah. Exactly.
That's why I'm saying like this.
Hello, everyone.
Mr. President, the President of the People's Republic of China.
Good to meet you. Great pleasure to see you again.
Good to see you again.
Me too.
And we're going to have a very successful meeting, I have no doubt. But he's a very tough negotiator. That's not good. We know each other well.
Mr. President, do you plan to sign a trade deal today?
Could be. I think we'll have a great understanding. We have a great relationship. We've always had a great relationship.
Will you discuss Taiwan here?
Which way? Thank you very much.
Wait, nobody else is going to the meeting. Nobody else. No. Everybody stay. Stop. The chief protocol is liquor. No. Stay. Stop. Stay.
No. Hey. Stay right behind me here.
Stay.
You're good. Good on you.
Where is
You dropped your sticks? Yeah. Good.
You're good? You want me to make this whole?
Good job. Thank you. How are you?
We gotta all go back to
Nope, not way.
the press.
The press used to come in this way.
Hold on, guys. Hold on.
Don't lean on me, please. Don't.
那就不允许打了。媒体进来时候打了。
不进，那个它里边就他们也上映，咱们上映不需要。里边空间特别小。
Right off.
Press only. No security. You guys hear me?
Leslie, please, just a second. Please
Harper.
speak loud. Press only.
Press only. No security.
新闻媒体记者只能新闻媒体记者请进。
Do not try to come in at the back end of the press line.
安保人员请不要随着新闻人员进来。
Just like as we agreed.
So Hannah, when you let us in, we're all gonna follow.
Yep, good. They're gonna have to come through here. Thank you.
里边的请双方各进一下，咱们可以。 咱们安全标那个厂还是都看好，里边特别小。Thanks for everything, the way. Slow.
慢慢进行，慢慢进行，因为慢慢进行 ，slow down。
Gentlemen,
Where am I still?
whoa, come on. Hey. You gotta get on my stick. China. You gotta get on my stick. You're on my stick. You need to move. You need to move. Hey, you need to move. China, this way. China, that side. China, that side. What they said? Keep going. Keep going.
They're going by you as well.
Keep going. Keep moving. Keep moving.
That's China, U.S. here.
Go.
You got it?
No. Can't get to our stick. Camera.
Well, thank you very much. It's a great honor to be with a friend of mine, really for a long time now, if you think about it. The very, very distinguished and respected President of China. And we will be having some discussions. I think we've already agreed to a lot of things, and we'll agree to some more right now. But President Xi is a great leader of a great country, and I think we're going to have a fantastic relationship for a long period of time. And it's an honor to have you with us. Thank you very much. Thank you.
President Trump, it is a great pleasure for me as well to meet you. And it feels very warm seeing you again because it's been many years. Since your re-election, we have spoken on the phone 3 times, exchanged several letters, and stayed in close contact. And our joint guidance, China-US relations have remained stable on the whole. Given our different national conditions, We do not always see eye to eye with each other, and it is normal for the two leading economies of the world to have frictions now and then. And in the face of winds, waves, and challenges, you and I, at the helm of China-US relations, should stay the right course and ensure the steady sailing forward of the giant ship of China-US relations. I always believe that China's development goes hand in hand with your vision to make America great again. Our two countries are fully able to help each other succeed and prosper together. Over the years, I have stated in public many times that China and the United States should be partners and friends. This is what history has taught us and what reality demands. A few days ago, in the latest round of consultation, our two economic and trade teams reached basic consensus on addressing our respective major concerns and made encouraging progress. This provided the necessary conditions for our meeting today. Mr. President, I am ready to continue working with you to build a solid foundation for China-US relations and create a sound atmosphere for the development of both countries. Mr. President, you care a lot about world peace, and you are very enthusiastic about settling various regional hotspot issues. I appreciate your great contribution to the recent conclusion of the Gaza ceasefire agreement. During your visit to Malaysia, you witnessed the signing of the Joint Declaration on Peace along the Cambodia-Thailand border, to which you had provided input. China has been helping in our own way Cambodia and Thailand properly settle their border disputes, and we have also been promoting peace talks to resolve other hotspot issues. The world today is confronted with many tough problems. China and the US can jointly shoulder our responsibility as major countries and work together to accomplish more great and concrete things for the good of our two countries and the whole world. I look forward to exchanging views with you on questions important for our two countries and the world. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's great to have you all. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, why did you change your nuclear plans? Why are you going to be doing more nuclear testing?
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, press. Let's go. Time to go.
I don't know what this is. Throw this over there. Thank you. Thank you.
But he's a very tough negotiator. That's not good. We know each other well.
Mr. President, do you plan to sign? Mr. President, the President of the People's Republic of China.
All right, China's President Xi Jinping and USA's President Donald Trump have met after 6 years in South Korea's Busan. The key meeting marks their first in-person encounter since Trump's return to the White House. The meeting offers both countries an opportunity to ease tensions after months of trade disputes. Trump's tariff measures since returning to office and China's counteraction through limits on rare earth exports have increased the importance of the talks. Both sides are entering talks wary but cautiously hopeful, with Washington signaling that it wants a substantial framework to stabilize relations. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said negotiators have been working to delay China's planned curbs on rare earth mineral exports, a move that could have rattled industries worldwide. In return, Beijing is expected to revive purchases of U.S. soybeans, a symbolic gesture of goodwill toward American farmers. Today is Trump's final day of his 5-day Asia trip, but for Xi, it marks the beginning of a 3-day visit. In addition to the meeting with Trump, Xi will attend the APEC Leaders Summit, where he is expected to deliver remarks and also conduct a state visit to South Korea. I have...
And we're going to have a very successful meeting, I have no doubt.
All right, viewers, so I have my colleague Brian Thomas connected for more details. Brian, what can you tell us about this key meeting?
We know each other well.
All right, we'll try and reconnect with my colleague, but viewers, this is a very, very important key meeting. China's President Xi Jinping and USA's President Donald Trump have, of course, met after 6 years in South Korea's Busan. The key meeting, of course, marks their first in-person encounter since Trump's return to the White House. And the meeting, of course, offers both countries an opportunity to ease tensions after months of trade disputes. I have my colleague Brian Thomas with more details. Brian, what can you tell us about this key meeting?
Yes, clearly, this is a very important meeting that is taking place between both Trump and Xi Jinping, and this comes after 2019. This is after 6 years, and clearly the first conversation that is coming where Xi Jinping has said that given their national conditions that they do not see eye to eye, but it is very normal for the two leading economies of the world to have friction now and then. Clearly, Xi Jinping also said that they have spoken on the phone 3 times, exchanged several letters, and remained in close contact. She also said that it is normal for the world's 2 largest economies to have some frictions. Trump's response at the start of the interaction was also where he stated that Xi Jinping is a great leader of a country, and he believed that he will continue to have a very fantastic relationship for a long time. Very importantly, before the meeting itself, before the formal talks, Trump said that he expected a very successful meeting with Xi, adding that both sides have always shared a very good relation, where Xi also smiled and replied that it's very great to see him. And this is, again, like we mentioned, that this is the first face-to-face interaction between the two leaders since the 2019 G20 summit in Osaka, Japan. And this comes amid the APEC summit that is taking place in Gyeongju. Not only that, China's development also, as President Xi now, what we are sharing the latest details, where President Xi has said to US President Trump that China's development goes hand in hand with US President's vision, US's vision of making America great again. And this also, analysts are also saying that Trump-Xi meeting could either bring relief to global markets or deepen existing divisions itself. Very importantly, this also says this is coming under the backdrop also of several important topics, that is the rare earth conversation that will be taking place. The Russia-Ukraine will be another conversation that they would want to take it forward. Though not guaranteed, topics like Taiwan, China's posture in the region, the Ukraine-Russia may come up. Trump also hinted that he might not even raise Taiwan, so that is one speculation itself. Very importantly, the meeting has also helped calm some market anxious about the US-China relationship itself. And very importantly, we have to note as well that China dominates processing of these, and they are crucial for US tech and defense industry itself. And even the US may use this meeting to urge China on issues such as rare earth exports and possible external policy concerns, that is your Russia, Ukraine and Taiwan, even though clearly Trump has stated that it does not matter, the Taiwan conversation, he might not take it forward. But Trump's expected that it's a good, they are hoping a good deal. And as of now, what we are letting you know, what latest...
All right, Brian, thank you for that. And I have our guest Karori Singh, who's a foreign affairs expert, joining me. Now, Mr. Singh, of course, this is a very key meeting, all eyes on it. Your opening comments.
You see, Vaishali, homework has already been done for the meeting during the ASEAN sidelines of ASEAN summit, and basic consensus has already been reached. And that this meeting will reflect the two assumptions of Trump. Trump has one assumption that Biden and Obama policies strengthen the China-Russia solidarity. So he wants to disconnect China and Russia. This is the one point. The second point is US is re-emphasizing its Asia-Pacific policy instead of Indo-Pacific policy. And in this Asia-Pacific strategy, China is an important country for United States. So US will be strengthening engagement with China. And at this point of time, the basic issue is China's restriction on rare earth mineral supply to US. And the US announcement of 100% tariffs on China. I think on both the issues, both countries will be somewhat liberal and soften during the meeting. So I think there will be something meaningful will come out of the meeting since the homework has already been done. Generally, we were expecting that the ASEAN meeting will be the show of China US competition, but instead it showed a sort of working for cooperation in the economic affairs. Though the US has signed some bilateral agreements with the individual ASEAN countries, whereas China has redesigned its free trade with ASEAN 3.0. So both countries are emphasizing on economic issues right at the moment to strengthen their strategic interest. So there is a meeting point between US and China because of the Trump's assumptions and the China's interest as well. Right, Vaishali?
Now I want to ask you, now of course the visuals are very interesting and you see a lot of, it looks different on the surface, but these are two very strong-headed leaders. How do you actually think it'll materialize? Do you think they'll come to a, center, or they'll come to a conclusion with this one, and a positive one?
You observe the Trump's style. Trump threatens, then he becomes somewhat soft, and then he gives concessions. So the Trump's style is like that. So he pressurized China with an announcement of 100% tariffs, and now he will be somewhat soft on the China issue. Because US understands that China is the most important partner in the economic advancement of the United States. So he cannot wish out China completely. Similarly, China has a big trade with the United States. So there is the convergence of the Chinese interest and American interest. Though now the Trump's policy is to emphasize on investment in United States, and he has and the promise of a large number of companies to invest in United States. But right at the moment, US is not the manufacturing hub. China is the manufacturing hub. So US is somewhat dependent on China on the supply of the manufactured goods, particularly the consumer goods. That is why there is a convergence of interest. But over a period of time, Trump is planning to have greater investment in United States and you make US a manufacturing hub. But that will take time. So right at the moment, there is a convergence or interdependence on China and United States, and that is why both the leaders are coming together, and definitely some agreement will be reached during the meeting which is going on.
All right, I have Major General Sudhakarji, defense and geopolitical expert, joining me now. Major General, these are very interesting visuals that we're showing our viewers. Everything definitely looks very nice on the surface, but as I was discussing earlier, these are two leaders who are extremely strong-headed. How do you see this meeting progressing?
Morning, Vaishali. Thank you for taking me for your morning show. I think much of the issues have already been covered by the distinguished co-panelists. He deserves to have the last say I've been hearing him for last couple of days. Very, very experienced and wise deductions. And from my side, I would say the first and foremost objective of USA president is to redefine himself, reorientate himself. Till now, for past 9 months, he seemed to be absolutely, in a state of disarray, going in a rudderless and directionless kind of a voice, without any meaningful and substantive thought through kind of a end state. Now it appears that he perhaps was doing things to a plan, and his truth special, whatever Twitter handle or X handle you call it, perhaps it had some kind of a design. So when I say this, I want to back it up by saying that a bipartisan statement in a national security strategy document, not for 1 year, 2 year, it is more than a decade. The state of America has defined China as #1 enemy, and they will continue to manage the resources of USA to contain, to counter, and need be, if push comes to shove, be ready to contest or participate in a state of contestation. Unfortunately, as per my understanding, or fortunately, the geopolitics of the Cold War 1.0 has gravitated towards geoeconomics. Geopolitics was responsible for disintegration of Soviet Union. Now, to participate in a phase of contestation in geoeconomics, America is actually found in the wrong foot. So, if you recall, point by point, let me just quickly cover. In 2020-21, in the earlier tenure of Trump had made Xi sign and give a commitment that apart from what was happening in the trade, normal trade, China will be buying goods worth about $200 billion from USA by 31st December 2021. Did Xi buy a single product? No. So what happened to the agreement, the commitment? That is the moot point. They may make any commitment, they may assure each other of many things, but they are vulnerable to flip-flops, switching on, off, because neither of the two trust each other. The trust is the biggest victim today in the world, but these two powers, which at times they call themselves the G2, at times they call the global geopolitics as a multicentric or a polycentric kind of a world. They include Russia, India also pops up at times. But the fact of the matter remains, the centrality of the geopolitics today are being driven by two countries, that is USA and China, by virtue of economic might and the growing military rise and technological rise of China. Second point that comes to my mind, the current issues which would be playing very, very rife in Trump's mind is to make sure that he takes assured kind of a guarantee from Chinese Xi, the president, that the soybean and the corn lying absolutely, rotting now, they started rotting in the central portion of his constituency in America, where the farmers were very agitated. They are still up in arms against Trump, Republican constituency, that China earlier used to buy something to the close to 20 to 25 billion worth of soybean from America every year. Now, unfortunately, because of this tariff ding-dong battle going on, China has switched side. The supply chain, which was earlier established with USA, has shifted to Brazil. So this is the first commitment that comes to my mind he would be taking from Xi, with an assured kind of a timeline or maybe a stipulated timeline. Second thing that comes to my mind, what Trump would be doing, is the weaponization of the mineral, rare earth element. You see, that weaponization of rare earth element, be mindful of the fact that China is a country, it has got almost more than 90%, I would say 97% dominance in the upstream, midstream and the downstream segment of all rare earth elements. When I say all these three segments or the upstream, midstream, and downstream. What I mean is mining, extraction, processing, and production. All of them, 60% processing, China has got dominance, and production has got 80%. What it implies is that the machinery available for extraction, mining, processing, and production, generally you will find they are concentrated with China. The equipments are not readily available. We may actually side and feel proud that he has managed to swing agreements with the Southeast Asian countries recently, with Malaysia, Thailand, Thailand and Malaysia, if I recall correctly. That is just maybe a stopover. The fact of the matter remains that the hard and the soft variety of rare earth element require different processing machine, while the processing machine for soft variety may be there with Australia and USA. For the hard variety are the ones which process and produce those kind of minerals, those kind of products which are required for stealth technology, for infrared sensors, for flares, nuclear reactors, for missiles, and many of the beyond visual range, that kill chain capability, etc., etc., 5G, 6G, internet, host of other things, robotics, artificial intelligence, semiconductors of 2 nanotechnology, high-end kind of semiconductors. So without that, things like, gallium, germanium, then there is a thing called a neodymium. Neodymium, without that, F-35 can't fly, Tesla can't move, and the data centers which are mushrooming all over the world now, they will go dark. Lithium is such a product. USA is trying to capture the entire market, but it is just a failing story unfolding gradually, because way back in 2003 to 2007, USA used to lead in 61 out of 64 the critical minerals. Today in 25, China is leading in 57 out of 64. You can see the kind of a turnaround which is happening in the world. The deep seek which China has developed from a very measly amount, I would say, in such a short time, is something, a story needs to be shared. Today, the number of the PhD STEM in USA, which is to be leading at one point in time in the year 2000, China has overtaken by leaps and bounds. Artificial intelligence, China is leading. Robotics, it is leading. You talk about blockchain, name a thing. So it is there, up there. The geoeconomics has actually given a full swing in favor of China. So therefore, you would like to take some kind of a short commitment. Next point that comes to my mind is, the trade imbalance. The trade imbalance is approximately, I think, $295, $300 billion. He would make Xi give some kind of a commitment of buying more products from USA and whatever. So there will be a process of negotiation. Whether it takes place or not, it's a matter which the advisory committee would advise him. But the icing on the cake of the meeting would be Taiwan. Now, Taiwan, as we know, that TRA, the Taiwan Relation Act, 1979, which left it strategically an ambiguous one. As we need to understand Donald Trump as an individual, as a president. As an individual, he is averse, going by the neuro-linguistic programming and analysis, he is averse to any kind of conflict and war. And it takes pains to take decisions like Iran thing. He had promised not to attack Iran. But Netanyahu got him into a trap and he made him to do that. So similarly, in case of Taiwan, Xi has indicated number of times through his advisors, through his ministers, through his professional leaders, that you lay off, don't even look towards Taiwan, leave it to me, I will reunify in my own way. Donald Trump will perhaps have one point, take a short commitment from Xi. You do anything, but do it peacefully. There should be no
Major
coercion.
General, I'll just have to interrupt you because I have Ambassador KP Fabian, former diplomat, joining me. Now, Mr. Fabian, my question to you specifically is about the trafficking of fentanyl which is of course a drug responsible for tens of thousands of deaths in the US each year. This of course will also be discussed in this meeting. Your comments?
Yeah, it of course will be discussed, but we know the standard Chinese position, and China has in the past denied any responsibility, though it has also promised to take whatever action is possible, and America believes China has not taken action. Thank you.
Right, Mr. Fabian, and now of course I'd like to go across to Mr. Karori Singh, Foreign Affairs expert. And Mr. Singh, I want to speak to you about the point about port fees and Chinese ships docking in US ports. That's also a point that will be discussed in the meeting. Your comments on that?
You see, what the US policy in the Central America and Latin America is, because US considers that area as a sphere of its influence, and more precisely what I should say, backyard of United States since the Monroe Doctrine. So if China is expanding beyond Asia, then US has certainly certain concerns, and that is why US is considering in its strategic vision China as a rival country. At the same time, there is interdependence as well. So US is working on two legs. One is the China as a rival country in its strategic vision. The another is the interdependence. So right at the moment, the talk and the agreement will be focused on interdependence, and for which I think consensus has already been reached, and basic things have already worked out in the sidelines of ASEAN summit between the Li Qiang and the US officials. So now it's at the signing stage. It will be practically a signing meeting. So the Chinese and Americans have already agreed on the issues of interdependence regarding trade, and I don't think Taiwan will be discussed in any way during the meeting. Certainly the rare earth minerals and the trade, and so basically it's focused on trade, not only on geostrategy or the defense and the security issues. I think there will be something meaningful will be worked out during the meeting, and the final signing ceremony will take place on the agreement. But the basic issues which US has in its strategic vision, that will not be addressed during the meeting. Right.
All right, now I'd like to go across to Major General Sudhakar ji. Now, Major General, of course, the year has been very tumultuous with a tit for tat when it comes to tariffs. And this, of course, is a point which is very, very interesting to look out for. So what do you really think? Who will have the upper hand here?
You see, clearly, many of us keep saying that nothing is happening, but everything is happening behind this nothing. When I say everything is happening, China's economy may have actually gone on a downswing. It's posting 5%, close to 5% rate of growth. But still, 30 years of successive economic bumper growth has put China in a very high position, and close to 19 point some trillion by nominal terms, close to 20 trillion US dollar GDP. In PPP terms, it's 40 trillion or equivalent, much more than that of USA, puts it in a very high platform. So therefore, USA has started realizing that it has not lost the race, it has been overtaken. And they feel that it's a temporary phenomenon. And they are driven by, USA is driven by, or rather I would say not paranoid, possessed by a theory known as Thucydide trap. And what is Thucydide trap? Thucydide trap of, I think, Professor Allison. Yes, 2015, he brought out this document. He publicized the document. It was existing earlier, that no established power in the world will ever allow a rising power to come up to its footing. So USA will continue to practice all kinds of activities in all paradigms, whether it is diplomacy, intelligence, military capability, or trade. These days, you have the minerals, cyber capability, electromagnetic, etc. To put China down in all spheres. Also, it has to, there is a thing which is actually lingering. TikTok deal. TikTok deal has to be coming up very soon because I really doubt whether it will have a smooth sail of being taken over by America. There are many fault lines which are existing. It will come up for kind of a dissection and implementation. But basic issue will be USA will continue with its more than 795 or close to 800 military bases all over the world. It has got 11 aircraft carriers. It is aware of the fact the Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth on 12th of April, if I respect my memory, 2025, he made an announcement, public announcement in a press conference that China has got such kind of hypersonic missiles, they can destroy all the 11 aircraft carriers in 20 minutes anywhere in the world. And second thing he said, that all simulated war game, because the defense forces, they continue to have war games time to time, of past several years, has given them a conclusive end. And that conclusive end is that USA has been losing to China. This is the speed and capability enhancement, the rate at which China is actually expanding and developing. So they are mindful of all these facts. They are trying to redeem the shortcomings or the deficiency in the existing system. In my opinion, whatever they are
Major
doing
General, I'll just have to interrupt you for a minute because I have Manga Ananthamula, Republican Party, from the Republican Party. She's live with us from the United States. Now, I'd just like to ask you about geopolitical issues and how will that progress when it comes to this particular meeting? We've got Manga Ananthamula. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi. Sorry, I was muted. Yes.
That's all right.
This is. Yes. I think this is going to be a real game player if this all works out. I think this meeting is going to prove that it's almost giving indication that U.S. and China are willing to work together to make this trade deal work, and there'll always be some important factors that U.S. is going to focus on, like rare earth materials and agricultural products. I think that will be the chip that would be on the table for a good break for the deals. So probably this is all going to work out, and I think I see a willingness from U.S. part to do deals with China and reduce the tariffs during this deal. And maybe China will also agree to provide some of the services that we have not heard from them before. So probably this would be a good opportunity for U.S. and China to come together to make a good deal. I wish, I'm also hoping we'll have same good deals with China too, because coming from the Indian origin, I want India to make wonderful trade deals and tariffs, some way to work out best for both the countries.
Right. And just want to speak to you about the fentanyl as well, particularly because that's been a big concern. So how do you feel about that? How will that progress?
I think it's all going to work out. There will always be some give and take aspects of it. US has been rigid before and China has been rigid, but they have been very civilized in handling these issues. But I think they will come together. They'll have some good understanding before they say, okay, this is what is nailed. But yet we have to see the entire deal, what is being offered on the table and what is being agreed on.
All right, I want to ask you, what are the reactions, what are people reactions coming in the United States concerning it's such an important meeting and you're there? What are the reactions there about this meeting?
Well, Americans are concerned. We want good trade deals and not the ones that really hurt the Americans. I think we'll strike a good balance. As long as there's a good balance, I think Americans are okay, especially people who support President Trump. I think they will be happy with the deal that's coming forward. I think people are definitely expecting some give and take, that's for given. But what they want to give away and what they want to keep is one of the issues we have. I think the agricultural products is going to be the main issue here because there's been a lot of backlash in the past that we haven't been able to make a good deal on agricultural products for US to export because that's where the US farmers are hurting most. Probably that's going to come on table. That's what I'm expecting. That's what I have been hearing.
And Ms. Ananta Mula, but now, we're looking at the visuals and I was talking to my guests earlier that everything doesn't look very right on, it looks right on the surface, but there's a lot of underlying body language that I was noticing. How do you feel about that?
There is a lot of tensions between US and China lately, but I think people will realize everything will happen and in its own time, and President Trump will make best decisions, what's best for the country. I think this time during the meeting, the farmers will be happy and there will be some takeaway for them. They won't be hurting so much, so probably this will be a good meeting. I'm just guessing that is the most important thing, and because that's what I've been hearing on the social media, what is important. Maybe even the rare earth materials, there'll be some restrictions on the military used materials, but the civilian used materials, I think US will take it little easy and Americans will be happy about it because security and other issues, national security is the most important thing, and probably that will also be on the table. That's also something that I'm guessing is definitely something, a chip on the table that will make or break the deal.
All right, Major General Sudhakar ji, now you have been hearing us. We're getting a direct opinion from the United States. Just want to bring you into the conversation and your comments on it.
Vaishali, there are many issues. So, you see, one of the criticality which I feel as a student of geopolitics is that we have not discussed the fentanyl. You have been asking this question time and again. US, take your mind back to 2022. They have had more than 111,000 deaths because of overdose of fentanyl, and more than 2.5 lakh or close to 4 lakh people who were affected. And the dependency on fentanyl was so high, it is supposed to be used as a painkiller. And that is why he is coming down so heavily against the backyard, you call about Venezuela and Colombia, regardless whether they have evidence or not. I really, I don't appreciate such kind of, unilateral actions against these. Unless the world body has been taken into confidence, how can you start shooting boats after boats? What evidence do you have to call them as the narcotic or the fentanyl cartels? So these are other issues, but one of the issues which comes to my mind is that the treasury of US is showing signs of vulnerability. What kind of signs of vulnerability? We need to understand the treasury of US has got, what is treasury? Treasury is something which has got deposits from the countries, different friendly foreign countries, the intergovernmental deposits, and a host of other agencies, corporate. It is close to 37 trillion. There was a time where China had almost around 3.3 trillion US dollar deposit in the treasury. we may not be aware that China quietly and discreetly, it has pulled out its investment in the treasury of US, and it has come down to less than, I am told, 957 billion. Perhaps the latest figure my friend has sent from USA is around 750. So whatever, the issue that I'm trying to make is that as on today, Japan is in the lead, 1.1 trillion, followed by UK, such like countries. There are countries which are quietly withdrawing their investment from the US Treasury. If the Treasury is weak, then it becomes very difficult for the US to manage the debt. $37 trillion US debt is very, very difficult to be managed. What it means is $1 trillion per year is required simply for interest servicing, roughly close to. Plus they have added that BBB agreement, 5 trillion equivalent. So if you add up all this, the business running in US itself requires 6 trillion per annum. And the revenue generation is just about 4.2 or 3.8 trillion. So there is a shortfall of 2 trillion there, 1 trillion here, and the government shutdown. These are all very negative signals. So internal implosion or threats of implosion is something which is going to worry Donald Trump. But having actually put his finger on all the issues and not been effective and successful in handling either internal or external issues, he's trying out a new Indo-Pacific focus, which he himself had revived in 2017. And for 9 months, he made very blatant and straightforward statements as if backing out from Quad as well. So one, it is very heartening to see that he shifted or showing signs of shifting to the well-established focus, global focus of Indo-Pacific emerging threats and getting the world body organized and integrated as far as possible based on the like-minded nations concept. So therefore the issue remains that in the back of, like anxiety you are asking, what is the anxiety? The anxiety is what is happening in South China Sea. I'm very happy that he's made this move, that US has to look at it very seriously. Philippines is not a joke. It is a day-to-day rivalry which they are witnessing. So despite the Court of Arbitration having given an order in 2016 that 9-dash line drawn by China is not to be respected, freedom of navigation is a very important issue. And mind you, perhaps many of us may not be knowing that out of 80% of the global trade, I'm talking about the volume, it moves by maritime. And out of 80%, almost close to 64% passes through the West Pacific. $5 trillion worth of trade passes through every year through south of South China Sea, across the Pacific, towards Hawaii, US and other countries. So what am I trying to bring out? I'm trying to bring out that this is going to become India. Let's say your question also should be next. How does any thaw between US and China impact India? Because we are the immediate neighbor. That should be the logical flow out of questions coming to anyone's mind. It is definitely going to impact India. They may have a thaw, but at the center of it, they will always have the national interest of respective countries driving the thaw. But is it going to benefit India? India is going to be benefited as long as our understanding and commitment with China, because we cannot be put on the same plate. We have to look at separately, one-on-one with China. So the security or border issue must be resolved at the earliest. That for which I think the present dispensation of political leadership is making right moves to the best of my understanding and joining the dots. Second thing is that our trade imbalance is growing. It will grow for times ahead because our dependency, not only ours, America, all the countries in the world, we made China knowingly or unknowingly a manufacturing hub. Our dependency is so high that it will take maybe another 40 years more to diversify and de-risk. These words and acronyms have no meaning. So, and shifting the supply chain, established supply chain is going to take a lot of time. And China Plus may not work out as we have visualized. It may have a lot of side impacts. And it may further weaponize the trade war, which is actually becoming rather very unpopular. So therefore, all these things are going to play a role. And to me, it appears that China also has got certain things which are happening inside the country, which are almost close, pushing China to implosion. So both the countries have their problems. So they are mindful of each other's problem, but each one is trying to derive and leverage or maximize things in the larger good of the respective countries. And particularly at the moment, as I see, the closest thing, like the previous speaker, he brought out, yes, they have agreed. There is already an agreement in place as far as the trade, as far as the minerals are concerned. They may not discuss Taiwan because this meeting is taking place after 6 years. It's good to discount an issue, but we are only touching upon the probables, the theory of probability. Taiwan is one of the central issues which both the leaders must discuss. All this is happening in Central Europe and Middle East without meaning to contradict anybody. This is a perspective I am giving. After 6 years, two leaders are meeting. We call them a G2. If they don't discuss Taiwan, what else they should be discussing? The next war. Anything happening in Taiwan will have the potential to flare up and become a real third world war. This is my view, because if China breaks out across the first chain of island, that is the line joining Kuril and Taiwan and further down towards Brunei, then it is merry hell to be played, and Hawaii is not very far off. Guam Island is not very far off. It will break open. It has already got 3 aircraft carriers. It is building the 4th one. And look at the speed at which the shipbuilding of China is actually picking up. So therefore, USA will do good to focus on holding on, giving or extending very assured support to Taiwan and promote pro-democracy and not to reunify or join with Taiwan. That policy of TRA 1979, to my mind and understanding, it holds good, and it should become a central point of discussion, that let not the peace and tranquility be held hostage in the world today because of issues of misunderstanding or lack of communication, whether it is Taiwan or it is Ukraine or it is Middle East. Let there be a trust in the world order today. Who else is going to build in trust? They are the two powers, superpowers. They have a role and responsibility. If China knows how to, dominate the neighbors and...
All right, Major General, I will have to interrupt you. I have Ambassador Yogesh Gupta, former diplomat, also joining me. Ambassador Gupta, now this is a very, very important and a very interesting meeting because everyone wants to know what's going to be happening next. So I want your opening comments on this.
Vaishali, my opening comment is that at this point of time, China is in much stronger position compared to the US, because China is dominating in the rare earths. US needs China's cooperation in fentanyl, on TikTok sale, on selling their soya beans and other agricultural products. On the issue of tariffs, while China would like the tariffs to go down, China has found other countries to whom it can export. So frankly, there is a whole lot where China has an edge over the US, and the only thing that China needs from the US at this point of time is advanced technologies and equipment. And there also they have made a lot of progress in the recent years, so it is not that China has no leverage over there. Then US allies are unhappy with President Trump. Most are, their relationship has weakened. So in overall terms, I would say that President Xi will drive a hard bargain from Trump, for which the Americans will have to be ready. There is possibility of a deal likely to take place, but only if only if President Trump is ready to concede on some of the major issues that China would like, for instance, on the issue of advanced technologies, on the issue of Taiwan, and other areas of interest to China. So that's my opening comment.
Ambassador Gupta, now Major General Sudhakar ji was asking a very interesting question, and he said we should all discuss how this will impact India. So what do you have to say for that?
Well, as far as India is concerned, once this relevance of China, opposition to China in the U.S. scheme of things goes down, unfortunately, that reduces India's importance because U.S. Is viewing its relationship with India more through the prism of its relationship with China, which is unfortunate and which is wrong. We would like the US to see the India-US relationship on the merits of its own rationale, on the merits of its own potential. So yes, it may lead to the US interest in India declining. It may lead to lower interest in Quad. It may lead to but then the opposition between the US and China on political issues will remain. The areas of tension between them, South China Sea, Taiwan, and others will remain. Now it will have to be seen if the US completely, US takes a lower or takes a relatively lesser interest in the political issues. In that case, the countries of the region, such as India, Japan, Australia, and others, they will have to come together to work out more cooperation among themselves. But I think, yes, it may affect India in a more negative way.
All right, I have Manta Antamula from the Republican Party joining us from the US. Now, I want to understand from you, how do you really think this meeting will impact India?
Well, that may impact or may not impact India. They may have two-pronged methods to have India on board on several issues with the United States, and they may also hold China on a different prong. I don't think it may affect in terms of trade deals, but in otherwise, I don't think they are going to penalize India or going to be more leaning toward China. It's all about doing what's best for both the countries, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi is doing best for his country, and President Trump wants what's best for Americans. So I don't think President Trump is going to not want India as its ally or making deals with India. I don't think that's the right way that we are looking at. We have always valued Indian friendship and our alliance with India. Probably for right now, I think there's a bit of tensions, and they will ease off. These are all natural part of any administration making deals. But well, let's wait and see how this is going to. But I'm only wishing that it doesn't impact India. That's my positive thinking, that it may not. But India should also make its effort to be in the deal and willing to give and take. That's what I have been saying for the last several months, that India should be willing to give away something to get something, and so does United States. So I think as an Indian origin, I can only hope that these two countries will maintain good relationship. But as of today, these tensions may ease off in few months. That's what is my take, and that's what people are also feeling. We will ease off, and there'll be other talks, and we will come back together with maybe different deals. And this economically may give an edge to China, but not for too long. But India had to step in to make deals happen.
All right. Now, Major General Sudhakar Ji, I want to ask you that, China was really annoyed with Trump when it came to the point of the export of US semiconductors. I'd like your opinion on that specifically.
I don't understand the question, please.
Major General Sudhakar Ji, I was asking you that, Trump had really annoyed China when it came to the exports of US semiconductors. So I'd like your opinion on that.
Yes,
at some point?
it is not a new conflict. It started in the year 2020. It was there earlier, but 2023 was a turning point. But before that, we must remember what happened in 2010. That one of the vessels, it rammed into a Japanese vessel, and that is where began the first demonstration or manifestation of weaponization of rare earth element. The entire automobile industry of Japan was dependent on the rare earth element which is to be imported from China. The moment the captain of the ship or the vessel was apprehended by Japanese, and he was supposed to have been subjected to trial, that was a clear indication from politicization of rare earth element to weaponization. They have transited through very important milestones, and these milestones, one of them is 2023. If you recall, in Netherlands, there is they produce the lathe equipment for the semiconductors. So USA forced Netherlands factories who were dealing with this particular product to stop exporting to China. So if you don't export this, then the semiconductors cannot be produced. The lithograph, the printing or screening which is done, that cannot happen without the main equipment. So the base equipment was denied to China, and China, obviously, it had to weaponize in terms of the rare earth element. It's a very sad thing happening. I think there are ways and means of diplomacy and dialogue, and direct communication is always better. And in response to that, USA imposed further sanctions on certain things. So China twisted the tail. It started, imposing such kind of embargo on things like gallium, germanium, and people may not understand the meaning of all the graphite. Their complete electric vehicle segment in US, Tesla, will come to a grinding halt. Although they've started developing graphite is of different type, purity, high intensity, those kind of things. USA by and by should have actually developed in this preceding 5-7 years. I don't know whether they've done it or not. And if they haven't done it, then I take it that major part of the defense industry dealing with stealth technology, missile, infrared sensors, flares, nuclear reactors, then you have 5G, 6G, internet, all kinds of things. People may not realize that a car has got something close between 1,000 to 3,000 chips, microchips. And a mobile has got 6, a laptop has got 1. Everything in the household, your TV, your microprocessor, or you talk about your other gadgetry in your kitchen, everything has got some semiconductor. Semiconductors from high-end level is 2 nano to 7 nano. 7 nano is predominantly prevalent in the world, which is largest consumer as also producer is China, I'm told. And Taiwan, of course, is the leading producer of high-end kind of gadget. But this particular thing has actually annoyed China. But in the bargain, I would say China has made progress by leaps and bounds. In past 10 years, if you see, more than 10,000 crore or a sufficient amount of money in terms of billions of dollars have been invested. They have managed to produce those equipments which are being denied. They have been able to indigenize. Self-reliance on these products has been achieved by China to large an extent. The dependency on the know-how, particularly they have got the professors. The best of the universities, 10 universities in China have come up in past 5 to 10 years. 10 universities. They are getting professors and learned faculties from abroad, paying them more than 3 times the salary they used to get in Western world. So that is the kind of know-how, and they have also started practice, not started, it was always there in 70s. All the students who are studying outside China, whether it is USA or Europe, they have a standing practice. I have seen it in my own eyes when I was traveling in the US, in Austin, on all the places. The moment graduation ceremony is done, in fact, others used to come and have lunch, and we used to have a cup of tea or coffee together. We didn't find the Chinese, they had disappeared. So later, I'm Chinese qualified, by the way. When I spoke to people, that gave me to understand that tickets had been booked, they have to go back to China. More than 70% of the students are coming back to China. That is the policy which is being implemented, or it is a kind of by word of mouth. So these are a couple of issues. It is bound to actually annoy China, but China has got its way forward. They have managed to evolve themselves, and definitely, without any doubt, it is leaving USA behind in many aspects. I think USA would do well. This is a good move by Donald Trump. I would compliment him and his leadership. But more than this is that he needs to have very pragmatic approach looking at the internal dynamics of USA, because USA, to my limited understanding, is heading for very serious roadmap, heading towards kind of an implosion. Whether it is gun culture, that article or resolution cannot be changed in the constitution. The, what do you call that, serial number 2. So the gun culture will continue. So how do they control the deaths, indiscriminate shooting? And the fentanyl is one issue which you have been saying. Fentanyl is being manufactured in Mexico, in Colombia, and not along China. So then you have Venezuela. All these countries, they are very having easy access into the market of USA. So how does he stop this? Fentanyl on one hand is a very indispensable requirement as a painkiller for the cancer patients. Also, overdose of this is actually killing his society, his people. 1,11,000 per year is a big number. 2024, they had 48,000 people who died. There are more than 5 lakh. The latest figure I am getting is more than 5 lakhs. People are in the detoxification camps. And worse things are happening. China has penetrated into USA in such a significant manner that very close to their sensitive and vulnerable military installations, China has acquired land in thousands of acres of land. So if one is not mindful of all this, soon USA may realize that they are being ruled and controlled by China, because they have to be very watchful and mindful of all these things happening. Back to you, please.
All right, I have Ambassador Yogesh Gupta also joining me. Now, Ambassador, now there's a very important point about Chinese talks, which will of course be in the spotlight ahead of the meeting, with investors cautiously optimistic of a trade war truce that may help sustain the bullish sentiment. So what do you have to say for that?
Well, I think the expectation is that both sides will be able to work out an agreement, and President Trump will reduce the tariff, and because there is so much that he wants to get from China, and so he will have to reduce the tariffs. And now the question is to what level these tariffs will be brought down, whether the issue of tariffs on intermediate goods, high 40%, which the US imposed, let's say in case of Vietnam, whether those things are reduced or eliminated, because China will like to make maximum benefit from their present dominance, in the rare earths and other on other issues, so that they come out from this meeting with an upper hand, or at least an equal hand. So the US will have to reduce the tariffs.
All right, and with that, I'd like to thank all our guests for joining me on the broadcast. That's it from me on this bulletin. Stay tuned to NewsX for more news and updates.
Co-powered by